Ladies and gentlemen, welcome very much to my presentation. Today I will be presenting for the class Personal Branding and Digital Marketing, and the personal brand that I'm creating is called Extraordinary Life. So welcome to the presentation. We have our slogan, create the extraordinary in you. All right, so what is Extraordinary Life? So Extraordinary Life is an association or an organization set up at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam by me and a team last year from June 2019 onwards. But there's more to this. So a longer time ago, 2016, a guy named Tor Marshall, he was stuck in a corporate job at Deloitte, and he didn't necessarily feel any meaning or purpose in his job, and therefore he thought he wanted to find something else. And he thought more people were struggling with this but couldn't really get a hold or a grip on the situation. So what he did, he started exploring these ideas just with friends. He told me a story that he was into public speaking, but he didn't know to what extent. And the way he found out was by clinging his glass and just giving a speech to friends. And that was the way he started talking about like extraordinary life, about meaningful work, about purpose in general. And this started developing where he gave workshops to friends. Then all of a sudden the university started latching onto it. They noticed and they were like, this is something, we have to figure out what it is. And he was able to give some workshops to the university in 2017, 2018. Then in 2018, in May, I was fortunate enough to meet this guy at a TED Talk. And he spoke about the future of education. And I was very intrigued, even though I actually came because he was from Deloitte and I was interested in work or a internship at Deloitte. And I ended up speaking to him after his talk, and he invited me to one of his weekends, an Extraordinary Life weekend, and this was in 2018 June. And I went there and I was just intrigued and blown away by the self-development and the growth and the community that was going on. So he was like, Nick, I'm setting up a team. I want you in the team. Let's do this. And I was like, this is awesome. I really want to have different opportunities. So we gave workshops in a small team to some companies, some organizations, and some students. And then a year later, we reflected and we thought we need to make it more sustainable. We want to build a community. And then we made a sort of spin-off or a split where the Extraordinary Life Association was built. And he wanted me to lead this. And I was happily doing so. So June 2019, we recruited a new team of students and we went out on this endeavor, this journey and adventure. So what is Extraordinary Life? I believe it has a lot to do with what is missing in universities, where a lot of universities solely focus on academic performance and excellence even, but thereby if you focus on one thing, you automatically can't focus on another aspect, which is the development of the self, of the person itself rather than the student as a persona of the student. And a lot of universities lack this, in my opinion. And unlike in the US, there's not a lot of sense of belonging at universities because we don't have that much that culture of fraternities and this like great sense of spirit of I belong to this university, this is my community, my tribe. And we saw this gap of sense of belonging missing and of a too much heavily focused on performance, academia, and studying. And we thought we need to change this. So we started with the mission to build communities around self-development and meaningful engagement. So as I said, there's some elements in this statement. So first of all, is communities. We think community is essential because according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have an innate sense or seek to sense of belonging. And if this is not fulfilled, we might get lonely. So we think it's very, very valuable to be respected and valued in a community. Then, as I said, there's too much focus on academia and not on self-development. And the last thing is we really seek meaningful engagement where you go beyond the superficial to have meaningful conversations and connections with people and learn and grow together. And to capture this, we built three values in our association, which is radical honesty. So this is towards the self. Like in order to be honest with anyone else, you have to be honest with yourself. And we imply this within the team as well as outwards. So we try to always If it's needed, seek some conflict in order to resolve it, be honest about it. But also outwards, we do taboo topics, which I'll explain later. Second value, very important, is the sense of belonging. As I said, we foster a very tight community. And then the third is to seek discomfort because we believe the magic happens outside the comfort zone, and that is where you grow. So, what is the vision of our organization? So, as you see these icons, the first one has to do with self-development. We think growth, that being spiritual growth, growth of the self, of the psyche, of the individuation process is really important. It is the most important thing as a student. So that's what we want to bring to students more, and we want to become the biggest student self-development community in Europe. So that's why we have the community aspect, Europe and around universities. We want to focus around the universities. So in one sentence, our aim is to be the biggest self-development community at universities in Europe. That's our vision. And we want students to be actively engaged in this, not just to read a book, listen to a podcast, but to actually engage with diverse, open minded individuals about different taboo topics, about topics that fundamentally speak to everyone, and to grow together, seeking discomfort and to learn from another and really be part of this enticing and embracing community. How do we reach that? We have a certain strategy, and this is a strategy for next year. So the first thing is we want to create a more clear agenda for the workshops, because the way we reach and we entertain the whole community is by means of weekly workshops. So we're going to have an event, a calendar to plan our events. Then I'm going to be very busy to refine our strategy even more for a longer term, also taking scenarios into account. Then we want to build our website. We have a website, but it's not optimal yet. So we really want to improve that over the Christmas break. Then we have a shopping cart, which indicates we want to create merchandise. We want to design awesome hoodies, t-shirts, tote bags, flags, whatever it is that our community really wants. Then we need to get some sort of funding because we have not got it yet. And it's come a lot from my friend Tom and me personally. So we want to find a sustainable source of finance, which could be university, could be sponsored with companies, it could be donations. Then we still need to think a lot, create new ideas, gain more knowledge. And a way that I'm personally doing that is by attending universities, choosing courses that I like. So one of the aspects here is going to be, I'm going to be an auditor student for next semester in Zurich, doing courses to enhance our odds of success for extraordinary life. So I'm going to be taking, well, I took a course now in personal branding, mainly to fit with their organization. I will take the seminar, hopefully, about the applications of the course. I've taken a course on consumer behavior. I've taken a course on leadership, management, and strategy, all to combine this into one portfolio, which is called Extraordinary Life. Then we obviously want to expand our community. So our consistent existing community in Rotterdam at the Erasmus University is around 150 students, and we want to get this up to at least 300. And then our goal is to become officially registered and recognized by the University of Rotterdam by July, because there's a limit. We need to exist at least 2 years on paper at the notary to reach this. And then we want to start building a professional network with coaches or mentors and entrepreneurs and businesses that foster our community and that like support us. So that's the general outline for 2021. But there's more. This is the start of the long term. So in 2021, we also moving to Switzerland because I'm here in Switzerland and I've started it here as well. We've had weekly events with, yeah, we've had almost 10 events already with a group of friends. Unfortunately, it can't be too big, but it has been growing. And next week, I am speaking to the university to make it officially a association. Then in 2022, we really want to expand this previous network of coaches that I talked about to really provide more value for our community. because we think there's a huge gap in wisdom between more wiser, older, mature or generation and us youth seeking, like being naive perhaps or not knowing. We want to bridge this gap by matching professionals, coaches, mindfulness trainers, whatever it is, with our awesome community. Then in 2023, we want to have a full-time team. So now the team exists of part-time board people that spend around 10, 15 hours a week. And we want to eventually have a full-time team that does this, that also could get funding from the university. And then from 2024, we want to expand into Europe. And by 2025, we want to be in Europe in most of the countries, the majority, we want to have that covered. So that's a broad outline of where we're going. Then we have the community, and within that, we have the workshops. And for the workshops, we have 4 pillars. So as I said, we have 3 values and 4 pillars. So the first one is to get out the comfort zone. This comes accompanied with seeking discomfort, and it's a lot of transformational activities and extreme physical activities. So an example for last year is a polar bear. It's a New Year's dive. It's a tradition in the Netherlands where on the 1st of January, you go out into the cold water, you immerse yourself in it, and you seek discomfort that way. So these sessions are all about breaking through this psychological comfort zone, because any kind of comfort zone has to do with psychological fear. The other pillar is a reflect and develop. So this is more general topics related to personal development. And these are very interactive sessions. And basically, participants are allowed to indeed host their own discussions in their expertise. And we're doing one already in Zurich as well, where one guy who's a dear friend of mine helps me out, and he is going to create a session around flow and the psychology around that. The other event is called mindfulness. This is where we create a safe space for people to meditate, to speak about meditation, to discuss that, and to do exercises. And the last one is one of our flagships. It's called Taboo Topics, because we believe that taboo topics are always a fundamental part of our lives, yet no one talks openly about that. So examples could be student loneliness. It's a very prevalent theme, especially now with COVID. Things like casual sex, that's a very prevalent thing around students as well, and we don't always like talk about this seriously. Or death, that's another topic often skewed away, not spoken about. So there's a lot of these topics that we find scary to talk about, and by not talking about them, we have these thoughts that might make us think we're crazy because we never shared them and we don't know what others think about that. But usually when you share, you realize you're not alone in this. We all have crazy thoughts sometimes, and it's very relieving to be able to speak this truth to people. So we try to be as open as possible, never any never try to be too one-sided on certain opinions, and it's all about empathy and understanding the others, and it's very interactive. Then from September 2019, when we started hosting events, we've hosted 75 events, of which 13% are taboo topics, 11%, almost 12, in reflect and develop, some in mindfulness and some in comfort zone. And then there's a lot of general events we do not necessarily fit into a topic. So this could be a dinner we've hosted, an information talk, a pitching event, anything that's not necessarily related to the pillars we have. And we aim to create more consistency by seeing how we can essentially fit this in. So that's a process we're busy with. Then over the course of less than 1.5 years, we've created over 1,000 unique experiences. So this indeed is like every individual that comes to a workshop is a unique experience, and we're very proud to have reached over 1,000. It's been good fun, and we've made a lot of impact that way. Then this is a short impression of the workshops we've hosted. So in the left top, we see where we hosted a workshop with professionals coming together to share their insights with us, writing down on notes what next steps we can take. Then some other pictures in the left bottom, that was around a taboo topic of student loneliness. A very, very good talk, brought us together very much. And then the right bottom, that's the polar bear we hosted, where we went out of the comfort zone and dove into the water and took upon ourselves to seek this discomfort. And that was a brilliant event. We had over 50 students coming, and afterwards we had hot chocolate, hot showers, and good vibes. So that was amazing. Obviously, from March onwards or late February, we had to go online because yeah, I wasn't really allowed to host any offline events anymore. So yeah, with the outbreak of COVID, a lot of things changed. We switched to Zoom very fast, and sometimes we still had hybrid events in September and October in Rotterdam, especially because I believe they were allowed to have 5 or 10 people over. So what they would do is they would host a like 3 people would have people over, and you would still be able to discuss. One of the positives about this was that we are now more able to create synergies and connection between Rotterdam and Zurich, which is really awesome. But also, people outside of Rotterdam can join. So, in our current board of 7 people, one girl is actually not in the Netherlands at all, and it still works out fine. So, there's definitely pros and cons to this, but we had to change very quickly. And luckily, in Zurich, we are still allowed to host in person activities. In Rotterdam, that's not so much the case. In any kind of workshop, we obviously have a sort of a template that we hold, and we are still fine tuning this. But the basics of any workshop is obviously a beautiful introduction slide, of which I have many right here. So these are the kind of sessions we've hosted, and then we would always have some sort of theory or like perspective on a certain topic. Then we go into open questions in small groups. We have a break. We have some more questions, and we ended off with a um, conclusion. And we have some like final notes on like recruitment or sharing or our LinkedIn and our Instagram pages, etc. And we're still fine tuning this template to make it as streamlined as possible so that wherever someone goes to attend an extraordinary live workshop, they associate it with this certain PowerPoint style that we use and a certain image we create. So the team in Rotterdam. So in June 2019, there was someone who started the team. That was me. I led it for a whole year. And from after a month, we had like 5 other board members who helped us out. Then we started recruiting in December. We got some people to help us out. So we had 5 committee members doing some marketing and other community events. And we gained 1 board member. And then from October 2020, we had a full-on new board. So that was a 7-man board with 18 committee members in 6 committees. So that means we have 25 people currently working in Rotterdam, spending anywhere between 4 and 16 hours a week pushing this, building the whole community there. So I'm very proud of that. And then in Rotterdam, they have 6 committees, as I said, of which one is the Getting Out of the Comfort Zone committee, combined with the pillar. So they organize all the events that have to do with that pillar. It's about extending the limits, exploring and testing the physical as well as mental, as well as spiritual boundaries, and just creating fun activities for the community that fit the concept of getting out the comfort zone. Then a board member of last year introduced the Wise Words Committee. So this is all around discussing books and hosting sessions with different teams. And the cool thing about it is you did not have to read the book. She would always provide like a short summary or a video about it, and we would just discuss the theme and the questions around the book. And that was really an awesome way to get the gist of the book or the author's thoughts. And as it states, it was building guiding questions around them to facilitate and stimulate interesting discussions. And it's a very open thing where anyone who has read a book can come in and say, hey, I would love to discuss this, help me out. We create a template, we create some discussions. Then we have the community committee, which helps the EL community to grow together and become a true family, because we highly believe in the sense of belonging. And it's just organizing social events where members can meet each other, have fun, do parties, do go for runs, do games, like anything. And then we have the education committee, which is in charge of hosting all the bigger events and workshops. So it's like doing a bit of research on self-development, learning and spreading this knowledge by means of the workshops. And I believe that's a quite a big committee as well. And then the last two are the External Relations Committee. So this is all about expanding our name and our ties with other associations, both towards the uni as well as to corporations and other non-affiliate relations associations to the uni. And then they communicate and they spread the word about their mission and their values together with marketing. So marketing committee is the very last one, which I am also currently a part of. So we have around 9 or 10 people actually in the marketing committee, promoting us globally on our Instagram page, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'll get all into that in detail later. And we design things, we create ideas, strategies, working on the merchandise, for example, and just increasing the reach of our digital platforms. So this is the team Rotterdam. Then the team in Zurich, I initially thought I would actually quit Extraordinary Life after this epic board year I had last year. But as I came in Zurich, I reflected and I thought, no, if there's one thing I really want to have again in my life in Zurich, it's going to be exactly this. So it didn't take a whole long time for me to have hosted my first event. And from that, we created a small team of four who is, we're all supporting each other. We're like helping out with the templates, thinking of questions to come up with. Um, Facilitating discussions, just helping each other out with this. Hopefully, after exams in 2021, I would love to recruit a bigger team and have more like consistent support. And then as we go forward and EL becomes a recognized association here in Zurich at the UTH, we're aiming to recruit a new board from June so they can push on, um, fly off, and do their own thing. And I might move back. I don't know yet. We are going to find out. These are some partnerships we have and collaborations we did. So, for example, ESN is a big one. So, Erasmus Student Work Network, all in Europe. We've worked with them in Rotterdam, and I'm planning to work together with them in Zurich as well. Same goes for ISEC. We're working with them pretty consistent basis and want to work in Zurich as well. Erasmus Extreme is a association about extreme sports. We did like the polar bear with them. Unilife provides an app on which we can host our events or place them. FUC here is the Fachverein Economie aan de UZH. I hosted one workshop together with them around student loneliness. That was a great initiative. And then another very important one is called Lifeversity, which basically is an organization that provides free trainings for students around soft skills like leadership, public speaking, persuasion, marketing, improvisation. And I work together with them on a weekly basis where, in the name of Extraordinary Life, I provide leadership courses to them. So I have a bunch of collaborations going on and expanding into the future as well. Then a very important aspect more into the marketing is our logo. So as you see, our logo consists of a person standing on top of a mountain. And there's a reason for that because mountains, they represent the state of full consciousness. As from the top of the mountain, you get a better perspective on things. And we believe that self-development is a tool to get there where you have the ability to be more self-conscious, to be self-aware and self-reflective, and therefore gain a better perspective about yourself, your objective situation, and others as well. And then, as you see here, the Extraordinary Life has these curves, which represents the flow of life that goes up and down and helps you to grow. And the green adds for the fact that it should be sustainable growth. So instead of sprinting towards self-development in like an 8-week course or something, it's a very long-term process, basically the individuation, as Carl Jung called it, which is a lifelong process. And then the orange color we added is for upward moving energy because orange is associated with energy. And the quote we like to add to this is that life is a beautiful uphill journey with self-actualization at the peak. And this is very much connected to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where there's physiological needs, there's safety needs, security needs, and then like self-actualization. And we try to tap into as many of them as possible because people are triggered by different kind of needs and desires and urges. And we, for example, the sense of belonging is a very innate feeling for us humans, social beings, to be part of a tribe or a community. But then self-actualization is really at the peak. So you need to have these in order before you are at the pinnacle of self-actualization. So to make it more tangible, for example, where we dive into all of these are having food for thought dinners where we have our community, we eat together, which is a primal necessity. We have the security because we're all warm, nice, closely together, and we discuss life issues or life topics. So we try to get the whole range, and this logo means it's the peak of human experience. Then more about the colors we're using. So we use a wide variety of colors which match usually with our pillars. So the dark blue that we use is more associated with thoughtfulness and calmness, which we combine with the meditations that we do because we need trust for that and people to be sort of zen or like having deep thoughts. And then the more lighter blue, which is D color for extraordinary life, is all about trust and calming because for someone to join an association about self-development, you have to trust them. You need some sort of trustworthiness and belief that you're in good hands. And we try to create this with openness, and this color matches this perfectly. Then we use a slight different color tint of greenish, which is more friendly. It's very light. It's about reflecting develop, which is the other pillar. Um, and then the orange more so has to do with the comfort zone because it's a far more energetic and optimistic and young, aspiring color. For the taboo topics, we've chosen to make it red because red is usually something you that's forbidden, like in stop signs, for example, in traffic. They're usually red because they make you stop. So we want to make people stop and think about these things and be in the same way energetic as well as engaging. And we draw like a lot of attention to this by using this red color. Then for the color of white and black we use, this is mainly for creating contrast, obviously, but also to build trust. And both black and white, they mean purity and rawness. And we really try to convey this in our radical honesty, in our way of doing things and creating this sense of belonging that we are like very down to earth and raw about those things. So that's the range of colors we use and the reason for using them. Then some of the fonts that we use. So Open Sans is a pretty common font that we use on Facebook and Instagram because it's very clean and pretty original. So it doesn't have a lot of additional things. It's just very straightforward, clean, and right there. Then we use Special Elite on our Instagram as well to promote No House, and the reason for that is because it has a vintage style that gives a bit of old school vibes, and we just like this kind of it feels a bit detective, a bit special, like I would say it's snobby, like we're a sub part of a community, we're like a or of society, and we use this special elite font. Then the last one is Moontime, and we only do this for our quotes because it gives a more handmade and elegant, touching style, which is better to connect with because it's kind of like a handwriting style. So it feels more genuine and real, which is something we try to promote on social media, especially because social media has a lot of fakeness in it. We want to make it more true and real to the people. Then, shortly about our strategy, our marketing strategy. So there are some. We just had our call actually about going forward with the insights we gained from consumer behavior, and there's a lot of actions we want to take. But the most strategic and important ones for January onward is to design merchandise and a starter kit. So obviously merchandise is going to be very important for exposure, for creating more sense of belonging for the in group of the community, um, and it's a way of revenue as well. So that way we can fund other activities. We can give the funding to the committees So that's going to be cool. Then next to that, we want to create a starter kit, which is like is like an extraordinary life must have. So, for example, it could be a beautiful pen. It could be a nice book, a nice journal. Um, then it might be a flag added, a tote bag, a t-shirt, merch, or a hoodie. So something to really like identify yourself as much as possible with the extraordinary life, because we really believe in this identity within a group that you feel respected by. Then we want to gain more insights from our community. So a way we're going to do that is, because we are hosting quite some events that are related to psychology, we want to host a panel discussion, a series of them about personality traits. So there's a lot of personality traits tests, like the Ocean model, the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities, the color model with blue, red, yellow, green. So there's a bunch of those. And when we want to organize panel discussions with psychologists and professors about personality traits and personal life, personality traits in career, and personality traits in and romance or intimate relationships. And from that, we hope to gain insights into psychographics, which basically has the ability to predict lifestyle. So we want to know, for example, like on a big five scale, like where do our community members score on like openness? Where are they more extroverted or introverted? Are they very conscientious? Conscientious? And then we use these insights to create our marketing campaign later on, because as research shows, for example, that I believe certain kind of makeup, they can be the same product can be marketed towards extroverts as well as introverts, and the only difference is the way they market it, the way they target them. So for example, to extroverts, they show a lady in a party in the middle of the crowd, like being outgoing and extroverted, and then towards the introvert, they show that beauty doesn't have to scream. So we want to know, like, what are these traits of our community, and how can we play into these and be more effective in our marketing, so that we have a better, well, more efficient output, right? So when on Facebook, we can choose like, we want to reach this uh, type of person. So from then onwards, we want to create the Extraordinary Life campaign video. We hope to do this by June, July, because then we want to expand to other countries potentially, and especially within Switzerland, within the Netherlands, we want to expand. And for that, we need three types of videos, because if we're going to show them more often, you don't want to have like this stimulus overload where you only see the same thing. So we're going to build a bigger project where we create different kinds of videos to play into these different types as well. Then another action we want to do, and this is more buying Extraordinary Life merchandise for the community, and like the flags as well, to make sure we once again have more exposure, and we can use the era of the selfie where people would take their pictures with a flag or take their pictures with a t-shirt that they just bought, and create this like viral marketing. So that's some of the moving forward strategy. Regarding the survey, because we're going to gather data by doing a survey, these are some of the questions that we came up with, and this is not exhaustive. There's far more questions. So we obviously want to know the demographics. So we want to create a life cycle of the students where we exactly know what is our product, and when does the problem that students face, where and when does this arise in their student life. So for example, well, it could be that we solve the problem of sense of belonging, and it could be at the very start of someone's student life that they join because that's the reason why they join. But it could also be in third year of bachelor, people start to care more about being mindful about having a certain career path, and they want to develop themselves in order to have a better career. So we're trying to find out by gathering more data on the demographics as well as on the life cycle. So first very important question is, why do you join EL? We're also going to ask, why do people stay involved with EL? Because it might be that people join because of a certain taboo topic they see or a certain workshop, but they stay because of the community. And we have to know what the difference is and how to leverage this towards towards our clients. So for example, if we want to become recognized by the university, we need a different pitch than what we need towards a company. So we would need to know like what is the value a company can get, for example, what a student can get and what the university gets from us. Then we need to know what makes Extraordinary Life unique, because this is our like unique selling point in that sense, and we can really like double down on this. And we also need this for the university because the university is not going to get funding if it's not unique, for example. We want to know what people like about the sessions, and what we can improve in the sessions. And obviously, very important, like to what extent does the session someone attends alter the behavior and perception? If so, how? And whether people want to be interested in the merchandise, because we obviously are only going to buy it if we have a certain amount of people that are interested. And then regarding that, because we are a young Gen Z community and organization, we need to know whether they want it to be organic and sustainable. We think the answer is yes, and we would like to make it that way as well. But it's good to know because it's obviously a bit more expensive. And then we want to know what should be in the Extraordinary Life starters kit. Some other questions not on here that we want to add as well are, what do you do on a given Friday night? What kind of hobbies do you have? Would you describe yourself in 3 words? And we need this because we can make a certain like brand persona. So we can create like the prototype of Extraordinary Life. And that way we can really give this person as many attributes as possible. And then we know what to target when we expand towards other universities. So and these are some of the questions we have in Zurich. So why did you come to your first session? Why do you keep coming? What was your favorite session and why? What do you like about them? What are some of the topics we still like to discuss? Then we also like to ask what they still miss, like what is something we can still add? What structure would you like to see? Um, did our sessions alter your behaviors and perception? If yes, how? Would you be interested in an awesome t-shirt or hoodie? We've also asked people to whether they want to support us. And this is very much aligned with the reciprocity, where we've done this a long time for free and we don't get anything out of personal satisfaction. It's just joy out of it. And we can leverage this reciprocity because we've given so much that we can like ask for a favor in return. And that's why people are more inclined to fill in these surveys and also to help us out eventually. Moving on to our channel on Instagram. So this is the French version from a French girl on our team. But we use Instagram to build an inspiring platform on the topic of self-development and also a way to advertise current events and reach out to students on a daily basis. So I'm gonna go and open it actually in a bit, but yeah, and also we use the Instagram stories. So as you know, you can save stories. So we have a lot of stories from past year to be more personal and get more connection. Um, and also, well, obviously you can make videos there rather than just pictures. And some of the aims we have for 2021 is to increase the follower base by 10% each month, to add more personal content to get closer to a follower base. And how we do that is by um, showcasting more like behind the screens, highlighting, for example, the EL member of the month, getting more pictures of people and not just posting events, and to also bring more engagement and interaction on our posts. And we will do this by for creating, gaining more followers, but also by having indeed more personal stories. And I'm going to open the right now. So this is our Instagram. I don't even know if you can see this because it's Zoom. But as you see, we have 453 abonnements, subscribers. This is just a quick run through. So this is the whole channel. We've been posting since the start of since September last year. Indeed, as you see, there's introductions personally here as well. So we do try. We actually have more in the past, more individual pictures, and we want to get back to that. But because of Corona, it has not been that easy. So we want to get back into that. This is also the link so you can follow us. Then also, indeed, as you see, we share upcoming events, we share collaborative events, tips, certain quotes we have, um, and as you see, as I explained as well in the fonts, you see that we use the fonts, for example, for the handwriting to make it more genuine, more real. Yes. Then a short analysis. So what we see is that our follower base is growing continuously. Unfortunately, the engagement and reach has decreased, and we have not exactly figured out why that is. Um, it might have to do with the fact that we haven't posted a lot of people. We've posted more about events, and people are getting saturated with the whole Corona and being online as much. So that's unfortunate. We do see that videos or content showing someone has the highest reach. So that's the right explanation. We haven't done that as much, and we should get back to that. So in the Christmas break, we're going to plan how to do that again. Carousel posts, which are the posts that you can swipe multiple one, they bring more engagement. And stories advertising tend to be reshared, creating word of mouth, which is very effective in marketing. We need to double down this because we saw this last year as well, that we have some very, very enthusiastic people in our community, and they got in a lot of people simply because of their enthusiasm. So if you can foster that online as well, that's going to be very helpful in expanding our community. Then Facebook is kind of very similar actually to Instagram. We post the same kind of content, the same messages, the same fonts and events. So we aim to channel this well with consistent posts that contribute to self-development and to our followers. We used to have a group on Facebook as well, and we are going to revamp that from January onwards too, because now we have more marketing people that can help us out with that. So that's going to be the idea. And in this group, we just want to have more discussion because we think with Corona, a lot of traffic has all deviated towards WhatsApp, where people have work on WhatsApp, personal life, family life, studying, and they get sick of it. And we think that's a good way to get back into Facebook and to create this group and to have discussions there. What else we share on Facebook is pictures after events, quotes, collaborations, and tips and tricks. So very much similar to our uh, Instagram. Then why we will be using LinkedIn, because we aren't very active on it yet, is exactly as I say, we want to bridge the wisdom gap between more mature, wiser generations and younger generations. And we believe a lot of this wiser professional community is merely focusing on LinkedIn. So we want to bridge this by having followers both from the academics, students, as well as professionals in business. So that's what we're seeking for, and to share self-development on this platform, because we think we know that LinkedIn is a very underused platform. There's a lot of potential still, and there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of dishonest marketing still, where people, as on any other platform, they show only successes, they show um, only positive vibes, and we try to get through this by getting these taboo topics, for example, discussed on LinkedIn as well, because I think it's a very great way to be radically honest on a rather facade-like platform. We intend to post weekly from January onwards, so we want to create more soul, face, and vibes on this LinkedIn channel as well, where we post our new board members, so more faces, more happiness. And we aim to connect with coaches, mentors, professionals to provide more value to our student community. As I said, we think this is a key attribute we aim to add to our existing product of the community and workshops. And thus far, we've gained a lot of followers. We're already at 475, and some of those are coaches, and we aim to expand it a lot towards them as well, so that they catch up and see, hey, this is a cool community, I want to be engaged with that. Also, we will be sharing blogs, articles, and videos to create more personal connection and bring a higher level of honesty. And we see that because we have a organization platform, we are able to invite 100 people each month. So our aim for 2021 is definitely to gain 100 followers a month, to post 4 content pieces a month in the beginning. Afterwards, I want to increase this because I am in charge, and to increase the engagement. We don't have a lot of track record because we didn't have a lot of posts. I believe we have 3, but we want to get more engagement in the sense that we will post our events, thought-provoking articles, for example, and we just hope to get more to more spark more debate. This is some of the analytics of last month. So as I stated, we have 470 followers without any severe content, and I think we were looking into how expensive it will be to buy a premium account. I think we can consistently provide value and really grow fast from that. And also, since we have 25 students whom are working on Extraordinary Life, we want to create more unity by people having it in their taglines, in their names, so that people see, hey, these are all part, like this is actually something legit. We aim to use these analytics on the left still every month to see how we're doing. We gained, I believe, actually 85 followers now last month, though. That's going good. Then a website, which is a owned media source platform. I mean, so why we using that is well, also to the main reason is to provide a professional snapshot to students and companies. So whenever someone needs to get a first impression, they go to a website. So we want to build this solidly, and we're going to change a lot about that. Moreover, we post blogs on here too, and events, and I'm going to talk about more what we change in a bit. But we also think a website is a perfect tool because it's perfectly owned platform, and it creates resilience if an existing platform declines or a new one rises. So, for example, YouTube is going down because TikTok is going up, and we would not want to lose our like customer base, obviously, if a new platform arises and our whatever Instagram won't work. So that's why we have a website where we also have the emails of people. So these are some improvements we really need and want to make from January onwards on the website. So we want to apply more data analytics. We have not done that yet. So we're going to see what kind of what kind of built-in applications Wix has, because we have a paid Wix account. Then I'm going to be researching together with a girl more into SEO and see how we can improve that. We want to have more frequent content. So I think we're going to create one blog every 2 weeks from now onwards, and we want to update the events more frequently as well, because we don't really do that. Sometimes they're outdated events, so we want to improve that. We want to start a podcast as well and post it on the website. And then certain page improvements include things like that have to do with contrast, texts. And we want to create a login for students so that we have their email and they get premium access if they log in. And there's a lot more things where we need to change certain images because it's not as relevant anymore. And we're thinking about donation button. It's still a thought process because towards students it might come over as asking for money, which we don't necessarily want towards students. So we're thinking about that. So that is what we have come up with the Extraordinary Life. I want to go back to this slide because we haven't used a lot of data analytics in the website yet, and I've seen that thanks to the course of personal branding, there's a lot of possibilities. So I'm definitely going to keep watching all the videos that are posted on the YouTube to see what things we can apply, things like the bounce rate, where you see how long someone's been on a certain page. So I'm planning to work together with people on this from January onwards when we have more time to build this. Then this is really the last slide we always use in a workshop, where people can scan and become part of the WhatsApp group. They can check our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our Instagram. They know we're part of that. And then, because it's all about personal branding, the big question is, how do I see myself in this as well? So quickly about myself, I have studied 4 years in Rotterdam, which you can see by the Erasmus Bridge on the left. I moved from a small town, small village, towards the biggest, or the second biggest city in the Netherlands for my studies, which was economics and law. As you see in the second picture, it's a balance of economy and law. I studied that for 1 year, then I quit law and I decided to do taxation law. Um, Finished economics. I had a lot of fun in that. It was good, and struggling with my last two courses for taxation law, unfortunately. But since what I said in 2018, I got far more engaged in self development, and I noticed my interest for studies declined, and my interest for self development really increased a lot. So that's when I started spending a lot of time on reading books, on growing myself, going to the gym, listening to podcasts, and working a lot for Extraordinary Life. And what I've done in this course as well is get a mixed audience to kind of assess me. So I've made a survey and I got some insights from that. So the question is, who am I? And I've tried to narrow it down to several things. So first, my question was, what's your relationship to Nick? So as you see, 60, like 2/3 was friends, some were family, some were colleagues, and then some were acquaintances. Then the question was, how long do you know Nick? So most people know me, at least from this, but anywhere between, well, a lot of them actually less than half a year, which is when I moved to Switzerland, because I feel like I changed a lot. I want to know what new, like what people think of the current version of me. Then there's a bunch of friends that knew me between 5 and 10 years. Some family more than 10 years, obviously, and some people between 1 and 3, which most likely has to do with me joining Extraordinary Life and them answering. So the first question is, what do you ask Nick's opinion on? Most people said personal development psychology. I find psychology interesting because I am merely very interested, but I don't have any background in it. Then the second one is sports and nutrition because I used to go to the gym a lot. Can't see it right now that much, but I was pretty buff, so I did a lot of reading and watching YouTube videos on this, and I knew quite a decent amount. And then the last one, this obviously has a lot to do with my studies, is finances and tax. And I find this order very funny because it very much shows my interests, my passion, rather than my academic background. Then what my core strengths were, according to these two people, had to do with charisma, enthusiasm. So I feel like I live a lot of time I spent in a day goes to things I'm enthusiastic about. Especially since I did my exchange in Switzerland, I've been able to choose any course I want, which is amazing, and that's how education should be, in my opinion. And it has allowed me to choose any course that relates to me wanting to move forward in the future and to what I do with Extraordinary Life. So I can be enthusiastic studying, which is pretty rare. Then my drive and energy, and this I think this combines with enthusiasm for sure, but drive is something different. When I really, really care about something, I can be rather determined. And then the last one has to do with empathy and listening. And I think the reason for that is I have three sisters and a bit more of a feminine side, and that allows me to have more empathy towards people. And I think the nature of the things I do also require it. Like facilitating these workshops, hosting these discussions requires a higher level of active listening. So I've also been able to build that. Then core skills seem to be connecting people. I tend to be the glue of some of the friendships I hold. For example, the guys that I know between 5 and 10 years, they still come to my birthday every year for the past 8, 9 years, and it came it became evident to me that if it wasn't for me actively still hosting this, it would not happen. And here in Zurich, I've noticed that when I'm passionate about something, people draw into that. No matter what the passion exactly is, people get this vibe, and that makes me apparently able to connect with people pretty good and connecting people, which is different. And public speaking is something I've learned. I've come to enjoy a lot. Zoom is a bit different, still like it, not as much, but it's great. So that's a skill people have perceived me to be good at. And then motivating people. I don't know exactly how. I think it has to do with enthusiasm and drive, where it's like a natural thing. But these seem to be my core skills. Then some weaknesses, very, very important. I can be very honest, too honest, where it's bluntly sad as well. And it's not just a Dutch thing; it's a very personal thing where I try to live in radical honesty, and sometimes that backfires. I can be very chaotic and inconsistent. I score very low in conscientiousness, which means I'm not as orderly nor as industrious. So I convey I'm very chaotic. And then digital, yeah, sometimes I lack communication skills, and especially digitally, I'm not good at that at all. Some core values amongst me, according to people, well, honesty as is, yeah, also a weakness. It's a double-edged sword. Openness, which also shows in my personality trait of very, very high in openness and connection with people, and especially meaningful, deep connection. Some blind thoughts are thinking absolute truth. So I like to have a certain schema that fits my behaviors into a predictable way, into a predictable outcome. That allow, yeah, forces me to think in absolute truth, which is not the case. I apparently tend to overestimate my own skill. I don't know exactly who said this and where this comes from. And trust is that I think people wrote that I trust people too easily, can be very naive. An example of that is I got scammed here in Switzerland because of that. It's not great. A quality you admire about Nick, well, confidence is one of them. I never fake that. I think in certain things I do, I just feel very confident, and that has to do with my attitude. So I perceive, I really feel like no matter what you do, you have a lot of potential for impact. Like even making the smallest impact into someone in an encounter you have in a day, it's gonna give them a better vibe. It's gonna send them home, spread that with their family, and that carries on with like ripples in the water just floating there. And me having this realization and seeing a lot of people made me realize like I can have a lot of positive impact, and that made me confident about doing so and about being myself and living that. Um, Enthusiasm, I agree with. Discipline, I do not. I think people have a distorted image of my discipline, which I'm currently working on a lot. And then drive, I think this is as more ambition to make something happen bigger than myself, which I'm currently doing. What career do you see in Nick? Coach. I think that very much ties in with connection and connection and empathy and listening. I think that's essential for a coach. Speaker ties in with public speaking, obviously, and perhaps psychology. I would love to do speaking about that. And then entrepreneur slash leader slash CEO is all leadership positions. I think that has to do with confidence and drive. I would love to be the combination of all of these. And the three words to describe me became ambitious, enthusiastic, and open. And I very much agree with those. So that's a bit about me. Me moving forward. So what my personal mission really is a combination of the following icons. Where in the left corner, I want to do more public speaking, get a certain message out there, not about me, but about the message itself. I feel like there's a lot of potential for changing attitudes by means of meaningful speeches and articulated thoughts, especially towards students and insecure students. That I really, really want to build my negotiation and persuasion skills, because I feel like if you're good with articulating your thoughts and writing and speaking, people will latch onto that and they will give you opportunities. So I would want to take courses in this to enable my skills, because I think sales would be very interesting, as well as business development and external relations. I very high in extroversion, so I need to speak to a lot of people. And if I have charisma and confidence, I think I can persuade people into doing things, positive things. Then the middle one is all about leadership. So I have followed a leadership course here in Switzerland. I am giving leadership courses since May 2020. I love doing this. It's a very personal topic, and it's both an art and a science, and I love it when that intertwines like that. Then I've grown the desire to travel more. So I've only lived in the Netherlands till this year, but since I moved, I came here by bike. I've discovered some adventure part of me, and I really come to like that. And I want to gradually, as a student, like increase my increase my responsibilities gradually and like decrease my amount of freedom, so to say, because I think most students is like freedom is here, responsibilities here, and then like bam, you're working, and it's twisted the other way around, and I don't see myself having that. So I want to slowly do that, and how I do that is by traveling to different countries, studying there, being a auditor student, which you do not get credits, but you do get the knowledge, and that's ultimately what matters. You meet the people, you get a network, you get cool things. So I want to set up Extraordinary Life in the entire universe of Europe, at least, and all travels is necessary for that. And then last one is meaningful connection and coaching. So I would love to become a mentor or a coach. For now, among students, I really love having these one-on-one deep conversations with people where I feel like I can contribute some value, and when that's valued and respected, I really really feel good about myself. So that's my personal branding and digital marketing presentation. Thank you very much for listening to this. I am looking forward to the exam and looking forward to the seminar, especially to apply all of this. Gonna be learning a lot, and I want to thank you, Professor Algesheimer, for the entire course, making it very very engaging. Really like the small things like turning on Muse for a lecture, and your enthusiasm. I've not encountered any professor that's been that positive. So keep up the good work. Thank you a lot, sir, and have a good day.